CQ RAYNET. This is Golf 4 November Rayout Charlie, operated today by Greg, Golf 0 Delta Uniform Bravo, serving as net control for the RAYNET-UK Week Activity Net. This net meets each Sunday afternoon on 23531 Pheonix and Brandmeister and 502331 RAYNET-UK at 1600 hours local time, and is open to all amateur radio operators interested in emergency communications. The primary purpose of the net is to provide the opportunity for members to test equipment, exchange traffic news, opinions and information, and additional information can be found at www.raynet-uk.net. This is a directed net, which means all calls are to be made to the net control station unless you are directed otherwise. All RAYNET UK operators are invited and encouraged to check into the net. When you do check in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name, and if you wish to leave the net immediately after checking in, then please call in and out. Otherwise, if you want to leave after subsequent turns, then please make it clear you want to check out at that time. After I've heard a few check-ins, I'll repeat to have heard. If you're not acknowledged, please try again, and I will call for any strays, that's people who've missed their turn to call in, at the end of the UK and international sections. So I'll now begin taking check-ins to the RAYNET UK Week Activity Net as usual in call sign number order. So any stations with figure 8 in their call wishing to check in, please do so now. This is G4 and RC.
Golf 8 Kilo Lima Charlie. Name's Phil. Good afternoon, Greg. Golf 8 Echo Yankee. G8 EEY. Name is Mike.
RC has got Phil, Golf 8 Kilo Lima Charlie, and Mike, Golf 8 Echo Yankee. Any other rates, please, over? G4 and RC, no more 8s, let's have 7s. Stations figure 7 in their call sign, please. G4 and RC, over. Oh, geez, Anthony H. Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, good afternoon, Greg.
Mark Eats. Alpha Victor Oscar. Good afternoon, Greg. Just trying to find out what is going on.
G4 and RC, I've got Graham, Golf 7 November Echo Hotel. Loud and clear, good afternoon, Graham and Dave. Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. I gather you're trying something, but there was quite a bit of pocket loss on what I was hearing, so hopefully that'll get better next time. Any other 7s, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, then it's 6s. Stations figure 6 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, any stations figure 6 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, no 6s, let's have 5. Stations figure 5 in their call sign, please. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, we've still got less than 5-5, so let's go straight for the 4s then. Stations figure 4 in their call sign, please. G4 and RC, over. Golf 4, Hotel Uniform Foxtrot. Phil, Dave Molly. G4HU. G4NRC. It's slightly flaky here now as we're trying to sort Dave out on the side. Any other fours, please? G4NRC, over. G4NRC, no fours, so that's a 3. Stations figure 3 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over.
Golf 3, Zulu Hotel X-ray, Ian.
Golf 3 Victor Echo Hotel, Chris in Winchester. In and out this afternoon, no traffic. From a call in Winchester. G3VH. G4NRC, good afternoon, Ian. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-ray, staying with me. And Chris, I'm told to try and hopefully it stays that way. G3VH in Winchester, who's in and out. Any other threes, please? G4NRC in. G4NRC, nothing seen or heard, so let's have the 2s. Stations figure 2 in their call sign, and that includes you, intermediate 2s. Please call now, G4NRC, over. 2 Echo 0 Charlie Mike Sierra, calling from Midway. 2 Echo 0 Charlie Mike Sierra, good afternoon, Colin. Any other 2s, please? G4NRC, over. Nothing heard, so let's have 1s. G4NRC calling any stations figure 1 in their call sign, please call now. G4NRC, over.
Golf 1 Lima Tango Kilo, in and out, name's Adrian.
G1LTK, good afternoon, Adrian. Copy to you in and out. Any other 1s, please? G4NRC, over. Nothing heard, so let's go for the fun parts and have the Mike Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier. Please call now, over.
Mike 0, Golf Uniform Yankee, name's Guy. Good afternoon, Greg.
0 Whiskey X-ray Golf, Shirley in Cornwall, in and out. Thank you, Greg.
Mike Zero, India Tango Mike, Andy in Cornwall with Shirley, also in the thank you. Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar, and an I grade. G4C, some Mike Gather, I'm typing for myself today. Good afternoon, Guy. Mike Zero Golf Uniform Yankee staying with me, and an equal good afternoon, but quick goodbye to Shirley Mike Zero Whiskey X-ray Golf, Andy Mike Zero India Tango Mike, and Philip Mike India Zero Mike Sierra Oscar, all of whom are in and out. Any other Mike Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please call now, G4NRC, over.
M0 Juliet Sierra Alpha, no traffic today, Greg, in and out.
0JSA, but you weren't going to be last either on them. Okay, good afternoon to you, copies you in and out. Let's move on to the Golf Zero stations. Golf Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please. Chief RNRC, over.
Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray. Good afternoon, Greg. Name is Andy, RAYNET Pembrokeshire. No traffic today, so in and out, please. Over.
Chief RNRC, good afternoon, Andy. Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray. Hopefully you'll listen for a few minutes, given you the email you sent earlier. Just for what update I can give at the moment, as of about 2 hours ago. Any other Golf Zero stations of any regional secondary identifier, please? Chief RNRC, over. For RNRC, any UK stations who missed their turn to call in, please call now. Chief RNRC, over. Chief RNRC, then it's any international liaison stations. That's usually our colleagues in Nord-Samband of Norway, Arran in Ireland, Aries in Slovakia, etc. Any international liaisons today, please? Chief RNRC, over.
Lima for 6 India Mike. Name is Hans. In and out, Greg.
Lima Alpha 6 India Mike. Good afternoon, Hans. Good to hear you again. Happy New Year, even, I think, since we've not spoken. And copied you in and out. So any station, national or international, who's missed their turn to call in, please now. Chief RNRC, over. Chief RNRC, nothing heard. Okay, as you can gather, my post-COVID state of charge is rather low. So I might try and keep over short, but this is always the hard one. Reminder that today's net is being live streamed by Graham and G7NEH to YouTube today. Past live streams and recordings are available by searching G7NEH, that's Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, on YouTube. On a very slow developing emergency and not in our country, anybody who's been following the volcanic activity in Iceland, which affected a town, I think requiring the rehousing of about 1% of their population. That volcanic activity restarted today in all the wrong places, so homes are now being damaged, and that town is pretty much looking cut off from what I saw earlier. Moving slightly into cut-off, we have cold weather, the Arctic blast that keeps being termed coming down from the north, likely to affect the UK early this week. Still some uncertainty from the forecasts have seen about an equivalent ridge of horrible low pressure coming up from the south, which would bring snow to the south of the country. It looks like that risk is receding, but as always, be aware of your surroundings and what the weather might be doing. There was an RSGB Spectrum Forum meeting yesterday, which I attended on RAYNET's behalf, discussing primarily the general notice proposing changes to the licence. I'm hoping that guidance will be out to members Monday, possibly Tuesday, depends on how COM read it, so that members can respond by the deadline of 5 o'clock on Monday, the 22nd of January. The reason I can't be too emphatic is that there's another call with the RSGB president this evening, which might jog some things along. The emphasis is that while it looks fairly devastating for talk-through and Ofcom have not carried through with their we will discuss things with the RSGB and RAYNET before proceeding, because no contact has been received from Ofcom, there is support from RSGB towards us being able to continue to run talk-throughs, albeit in a slightly different manner. So we might be able to issue call signs, and that will probably come with slightly less frequency choice than we've had before. This being driven by the MOD as the primary user. But talk-through isn't the only issue with the license. Yesterday, somebody held that a duplex hotspot, which we know isn't really a duplex hotspot, but it just happens to be a gateway on two frequencies with a transmit and receive frequency, was a repeater, which would mean that many operators G4 and RC, I don't know, I can't remember where it timed out there. So we won't be able to carry on with talk-throughs. We hope there is support from the RSGB to allow us to issue call signs and allow talk-throughs to work, albeit differently than they do now. There might be restrictions on frequencies courtesy of the primary user. But one thing that did come out yesterday was the perception that a duplex hotspot, which is a gateway device that operates on two different frequencies, so falls outside the definition of gateway in the proposed license, would actually have to be classified as a repeater, which, since there is no lower floor on this requirement for notifying on 77s, would make life very interesting for all the people who run duplex hotspots like yours truly. So I hope I overlapped myself nicely as somebody decided to let go of my system there. I'll go to the top of the list and G8KLC and G4 and RC.
Yes, G4 and RC. Excuse me, G8KLC. Either one and all. Yes, I was a little perturbed to see the talk through permits about being rescinded. All sorts of ideas went through brain, none of them were publicising. So I will sit quietly and see what comes out and comment as required. Something's a little bit closer to my heart at the moment. I had a really strange conversation with a member of the LRF team. It resulted in me being asked a question. What else can you offer? Or can you offer anything else? This was in the context of we were providing a voice link between two locations. They filled the message form in, we sent it, we gave them the message form back with the answer. They seem to think that other groups are offering other things. I'd be interested if anybody within southern half of England could turn and say, oh yeah, well we offer this, and oh, we've offered that. Not big paragraphs, a sentence, if that. But as far as we're concerned, we're offering voice. You write the message down, we'll send it. Because I can't see any other way of making sure that we have a log of exactly what was said. And of course the audio log. And I'm not sure I'm warming to the idea of giving them the microphone so will you talk to him. Don't really think that's good, but that's just me. So brief comments on that would be really nice. G4 NRC and the group of G8KLC.
G8KLC, G4 NRC. Okay, not quite had it the same guys. I know I have been challenging with our LRF a bit. But they divided down the offerings into who could offer team, mince pies, communications, first aid, counselling services, etc. And we're the only group that does what we says we're going to do, and that would be communications. There are a number of other groups who say they do communications, but what they mean is they can only do communications for themselves. So maybe that is the extension that they're trying to reach for with you're looking strange because you're the only one not saying you can walk on water, Phil. In terms of additional services, then we'll hear probably more from Colin and others where, as a non-amateur adjunct, then messages can be, or they can provide Starlink and other things. And there are facilities within our own provision where you could let the user service type into a message form like FLVG, click go, and it logs the message, it sends it, and can even route to email at some point further down the line as well. So maybe we're just missing the links of, yeah, you write it, we send it, but when it gets to the far end, we can get it to wherever you want it to get to, be it a phone call, a email, or whatever, once you get out that first disastrous mile. But we'll see what the others think. Golf 8 Echo Yankee, you've got some reading to do. G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC from G8 EY. Just to say, yes, you timed out on your first over. You went over the 180. Yeah, weather here, 3.3 centigrade, 1009 millibars. And the forecast for the week coming up is a maximum of 6 hours per day above zero, with lows of -3 for the rest of the time. 92% relative humidity, 67% cloud cover, and 10.3 miles per hour from 290 degrees. Yes, well, I've done the reading. You know, I've actually read it, and basically I can see bits of my stuff in there, but not unhappy about that. I sent my comments to the Tuesday night video team with a question about when do we get the LRS involved. My reason for asking the question, which unfortunately I will only get after the next LRF meeting, the next one after that will be in March, which will be too late. But I shall definitely be on the Zoom to see how things go on there. Repeaters, well, as I said, and other people have come up with these comments as well, that, oh, so if I use an iPad to drive my radio remotely, then surely I'm using it as a repeater. Because after all, there's RF involved. May not be the standard bands, but it'll certainly be 2.4 or 5 gigs. Yeah, other systems available. Well, I must admit, RLF tend to note the Cabinet Office requirement that there will be amateur radio available as a backstop at the end of the day. And we've even tried, well, I've got several hotspots which are set up with call signs for a lot of the resilient locations, but because they won't let us into their networks, it means that each one's got to be attached or connected to a mobile phone of some sort to even get onto the internet. And the cost and capital cost and running cost is a bit prohibitive. So it's difficult to get away from pure Commodore Garden FM. From G8 EY, over.
Echo Yankee, G4 NRC. I lost the first half of your audio report. I was getting carrier, no audio. Only when I clicked out of the talk group and back into it did I get something. Yeah, can somebody clarify to me what the Tuesday night video is doing? I thought that was the local Northern Ireland initiative. Just seems to have grown. It was mentioned on the OSGB meeting yesterday as well. Because the question of when we get the LRFs involved is now, Mike, as you've seen from the emails I've been sending for the last few days. Only if we think, however, it's not the nuclear option. There is a very fine definition, you could argue, that Ofcom's implementation process only extends to affected licensees. But I'm not averse to pushing the button if we can get it pushed in the right places and if it will add value, because there does seem to be some misinformation or lack of understanding about what some of these systems actually do. Unless your iPad is transmitting in the amateur part of 2.4 gigs, of course, which is channel -2 in Arden terms, I don't really think it's going to count as an amateur connection. So a gateway, not a repeater, and here comes the confusion. Right, let's see if Graham's audio is any better and how many viewers we've got so far. G7NEH, G4NRC, over. G4NRC, G7NEH, yeah, good afternoon, Greg, and good afternoon to all on the net. And Obviously, we have audio this week, as I can just concentrate on one job, which is doing the stream. We've got 8 views at the moment, or 8 viewers at the moment on YouTube, and we have a total of 11 views. Last week's view count was 30, and with 2 likes, so that's good. Not been doing a lot radio-wise this week, however, I have set up Home Assistant on a Raspberry Pi, and got 2 smart plugs going at the moment, and that will evolve over time. I've got the Raspberry Pi powered over Ethernet, and listening around the HF panels this afternoon, in particular to the HF net, it appears it causes no interference, which is quite good. So there we go. So yeah, that's me really. Back to you, G4NRC, G7H. G7NEH, G4NRC returning. Okay, in reverse order and some radio stuff, which is more fun. No observed QRM from Power over Ethernet, that's good. Graham and I had a text discussion at some point, whenever over the last week. I just got a bit concerned that the Power over Ethernet can involve some very sharp switching transients and some very interesting frequencies being shoved down the networking cable. I was hoping it wasn't going to cause QRM, so good you've not got any. And I'm also breathing a slight sigh of relief that the new solar power installation that's been put on the roof across the road by some very interesting guys with no credentialed vans whatsoever also seems to be not including any interference, so I'm winning on that one. Thanks for the viewing figures, and yes, it's nice doing one job. I think I am doing everything on the logging and talking side today, though. Trevor's dropping in and out. Of course, Graham for picking up the net last week at short notice when I was wholly incapable of being able to do a net. Right, let's see how Dave's situation's improved. M7AVO, G4, let's see over.
G4NRC, M7AVO. Still got hotspot problems here, Greg. I'll reflash the radio and try to WX on the next round. Over to you, Greg. 7 Alpha Mix Oscar.
Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC. Okay, Dave, yeah, there was some audible packet loss on that. One thing that just occurs to me is that there are a bunch of calibration tools in the PyStar software. I wonder if I know you've changed hotspot hats a few times, etc. I wonder if you've recalibrated the hotspot against your handheld to see if that improves things. Just something else to think about. 1, 2, 3, 4 to go. So next it's Phil, G4HUF, G4NRC.
This is G4HUF. Good afternoon all, and glad to hear you feeling better, Greg. In that respect, it's good news. Could be cheeky and say that with the number of operators on from this neck of the woods, it's almost a Cheshire net, this, with a few interlopers. But please disregard. That's just my perverse sense of humour working overtime again. Yeah, not a lot exciting to report, but because especially as you saw my, I'm sure you've seen my email that I sent out yesterday, and it's interesting to see that it provoked 2 responses from M7 saying, yeah, we've got DMR kit. So it looks as though Dame Valley might just be moving a little bit more positively in that direction. So that's the exciting news from this end. And that final comment at the end of my email, where I said perhaps we can get together and sort ourselves out. And if we get stuck, ask Greg, was a very, very tongue-in-cheek. G4NRC, G4H2F.
G4H2F, G4NRC returning. We'll happily give assistance, though tongue-in-cheek or not. Yes, it's going to be interesting. Good that you've got some of the, on poking the numbers, you've got a few more interested in DMR. We've seen a real flurry of interest from Northern Ireland over the last few weeks, as Guy might attest to. It seems to go a bit search-like manner of when somebody does get the lights on them, we do get a bit more activity. So, yeah, looking forward to it. The more people we can get on, the better, I think. And Guy's got a quick chance to scramble for the numbers. We're now over 325 people signed up for the RAYNET server, which is really going a long way on from when we started this after the tech survey and in the middle of COVID, roughly together about 10 or 20 people. So it has come on a long way, courtesy of what Guys managed to do for us. Right, Ian, Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC and the group, G3ZHX, good afternoon. Comment for G7NEH, Graham. The audio this week seems to be down, but I don't think it's anything to do with you because I'm getting it on the handset as well. Both handset and the channel seem to be a bit breathy. So I don't know where the problem lies, but it appears to be a general one. Going on to Phil's question about what else can we offer, Aylesbury were asked if we would run rest centres, which it may not have been Aylesbury, it may have been both, but it was the general area. We were asked if we would run rest centres, and we have declined. Regards handing your microphone over to somebody else, it has to be remembered that whilst radio is intuitive for us, some people just cannot understand that with a PTT you press the button, you talk, you release the button and you listen. I have a friend that just could not get that through their head. One suggestion has been made for, I can't remember where I heard this, another group, not us, is that we could run around and set up a PMR network for emergency use. But that would involve significant capital expenditure, and I don't personally think that's an area we ought to get into. However, if people wish to do that, it does play to our strengths to some extent in that we do understand RF, and almost nobody else does these days. So I'll leave it with that and send it back to Greg and G4NRC. This was G3ZHX.
G3ZHX, G4NRC returning. Just as I was thinking of something to say, you nearly said it, so I can tackle it in reverse order. I think it was Lancashire RAYNET who were asked by the local authority to take custody of, I don't think they actually bought them, but take custody of a load of PMR 446 radios. And whenever a rest centre was deployed, go and take said radios to the rest centre, giving them some internal comms, because at least it made sure they were looked after. So your comment about who understands radio nowadays. That was many, many, many years ago when I asked last year, I can safely say that at least this month, then that usage does seem to have tailed off, and it hadn't quite got the legs that maybe the local authorities had thought it would be. Graham and I will recall we have handed our radios over to the ambulance service on an event because we needed to get an ambulance sorry, wrong person, wrong terminology, get a paramedic talking to his boss in the control room. So we handed the mic over, and as you say, even with more accustomed radio users like the ambulance service, there was still a degree of, no, this is the push to talk on this side, in terms of handing it over. And when it came to what call sign should be used, then there was a total meltdown. But it can be done. It is what our German colleagues are aiming towards in some way by deploying not the voice as we would know it in a lot of places, but putting Wi-Fi networks out with VoIP phones. So effectively, we facilitate the communications of the public in their case, not the user services, by just giving them something they're used to handling and saying, dial here. But yes, it is an interesting one, and I totally understand the stepping back and running a US centre. Right, to Collins, Zero, Charlie Mike Sierra, as I try and talk up the microphone just in case it's me that's causing the weak audio. 2E0 CMS, G's, 4 and RC.
Yeah, from 2E0 CMS, yes, good afternoon all. Well, a couple of things to answer there first. We'll take Phil's G8KLC's thing first. What else can we offer? Obviously, down in Kent, we're fairly big with the Starlink and the sort of like resilience of it as well. So that allows us basically to allow the emergency planning people and others to basically use their existing tech such as emails and Zoom and Microsoft Teams and do live drone streaming and all sorts of other things which would obviously not work from some locations due to the phone signals and that. And if Phil would like to contact Colin Bowman, who's the county controller, he would be quite happy to contact him and talk to him further about that. The other thing was about handing over the radio for a non-amateur to use. We quite often use PMR radios. We've got quite a lot of those, and the PMR repeater that we can use to use over a larger area as well. So we use that for events, but we can also give it to people at rest centres and stuff like that. So we have been asked and exercised on rest centres before, and we do provide sort of general internet webcams and passing messages and scanning forms and basically emailing them and stuff like that, as well as doing the voice over internet phones as well. So we've got some mobile handsets as well as some desktop-based ones as well. Then obviously the emergency services are loving that. Also emergency planners, it fits in with what they can do and what they know, so that's the main part of it. G4 and RC 2E0 CMS.
G0 CMS, G4 and RC. Excuse me, coughing. And hopefully back again. Right. Okay, thanks for that, Colin. That ability to use the existing laptops is, the kind of things you could do over Arden as well. It doesn't necessarily need Starlink. It's just getting a path from wherever to the internet. The whole handing microphone over was thinking more in the amateur guys, obviously, because while it's been a facility that we've had for decades, he says fairly safely, once again it's being touted in the new licenses, and this will let you give the microphone to other people, which is something we've already been able to do for a long while, but it is that reluctance sometimes on the user party of actually wanting to do it and getting past the mic shyness or the familiarity with the kit. Okay, last on my list before we hit the second round is Guy. Mike Zero Golf Uniform Yankee G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC M0GY. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, all. Couple of points. Yes, you stole my thunder. We have 324, 325 registered members onto the server, which is fantastic. Big flurry actually from Northern Ireland joining into the party, so I guess there was a meeting over there where it was suggested and a bunch of people have come on board, so that's fantastic. And we regularly, or more often than not, shall we say, have 70 plus hotspots connected now 24/7, so that's also excellent. They all seem to be staying up all the time. And yeah, that's going to be interesting if they do demand hotspots and dual hotspot repeaters and things. Anyway, the other thing is, internet. Starlink is fantastic. It does solve a hell of a lot of problems, but simpler solution which we've got here, which we often put out, is just a 4G hotspot which supports external antennas, and then we just whack a antenna up a big mast and then just run the hotspot off a big antenna. That seems to solve where you've got 0 bars or just 1 bar of signal. Stick an antenna up a 8-meter mast, and we lo and behold suddenly get a much better signal. What we have here is a tiny little hotspot with external antenna, and then we run that into a Power over Ethernet switch. So we're actually powering the GSM modem over Power over Ethernet, and then we have a Ubiquiti Wi-Fi base station to broadcast across the field or the clubhouse or whatever it is we're working from. So that gives us a huge internet capability there over to the Wi-Fi. That is obviously much cheaper than retaining Starlink. Obviously, yep, bandwidth is less than Starlink potentially, but it still provides VoIP phones, internet capabilities, video calling, and so forth across that. Other than that, nothing much else to add. So I shall hand it back on this round from Mike Zero Golf Uniform Yankee. Back to you, G4 NRC.
G4NRC returning to M0G right in the group. Okay, yeah, I am actually quite looking forward to the new license. We'll actually unleash once again Packet Radio and then restart the development of that. Because before internet linking came to Packet Radio, there were modems on the market capable of 38K over the air, 38 kilobits per second. Again, not nosebleed speeds compared to what you can get off some things now, but it was a whole avenue that just got stopped in the 80s with a not very well thought through license change, and hence my fear of deja vu in some areas. So what I always miss from people is, have they done any traffic analysis to understand how big a pipe they need to get the messaging back? So lots of bandwidth is needed in a very small area and take telephone system, but very few people call outside their town to the next town. Calls used to be predominantly local. You could see that kind of flow, and we should be doing the same on data networks. So we are right-sizing everything and getting all the tools in the box rather than rolling out an enormous hose pipe for something that really is downstream could have dealt with in some areas. So we do need a spectrum of options to come back with. Right, I am being driven to basketball this evening, so there is a game tonight. Let's hit the second round and see if that's answered Phil's questions and see if we get anything else from anybody for discussion. G8KLC, back to you, Phil. G4NRC.
G4NRC, G8KLC has been back. Excuse me. Yeah, that was great, guys. Thanks very much. Perhaps slightly broader spectrum than I was expecting. Yes, can you set up this, that, and the other? Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah, we'll help you. We'll advise, but we're not setting it up. far too far away from our remit. I would have thought that our very good friends with the Red Cross have had that well sewn up by now, but maybe only in some places. It's interesting, we had a rest centre exercise down in sunny Skegness, middle end of last year, and I didn't see any radio comms at all. In fact, I didn't see any comms at all. But it seemed to all be run in one very large room. There were no breakout rooms, you could say. There were no quiet rooms. There was a quiet area. So I think they'd only hired the main hall for the day and hadn't thought of all the ancillary stuff that would be useful. But maybe when they do, they'll think about comms. And yes, this is actually triggered from a debrief that I wasn't invited to from Exercise Mighty Oak. So all the responses that we would have given would be, well, we can do this, but there's no power. Do you really want to have this, and this taking your generator where you've only got very limited capability? But I wasn't allowed to ask, well, what do you want? Don't wait for an hour while they panic. Wasn't that sort of meeting. So they will come up, no doubt. Anyway, I'm waffling. G4 NRC, JKRC, with a thank you to everybody that answered.
ALC, G4 NRC returning. Okay, yeah, you said something there, but a couple of points. One, you would have thought Red Cross would have had it covered well with the retreat of Red Cross from Event First Aid. I'm not sure they've got the volunteer numbers themselves, so we're seeing other groups being asked to staff up rest centres like Rotary clubs and so on. But from a rest centre exercise where we did have the whole centre, so could take over all the rooms like we would have done, the next challenge was overcoming people's perceptions because the rest centre manager cheerfully walked into the comms room and asked us to put a press release together. And it was not that sort of communications, which is why I started having a go at the other groups in the LRF who say they did comms. What do they really mean? Or is it comms for themselves or for others? But yes, there can be another willful misinterpretation at times of comms is just writing press releases. Okay, thanks Phil. Hopefully talk to you next week. Mike, Golf Echo Echo Yankee, G4 NRC.
G4 NRC from G8DEY. Hopefully the audio's going out. I'm not in a position to monitor it really. Yeah, my main concern with the Ofcom business is that the definition for repeaters does not specify anything about frequencies. So it could be amateur or it could be anything else. Yeah, we've tried PMR and we tried 446 in the area, but unfortunately, apart from the limitations on channel availability and the lack of understanding amongst people about the fact that CCTS is fine, but doesn't mean you can all talk at the same time. And also, we are expected to provide communications from Norwich to Cromer to Kings Lynn and to Yarmouth, and none of these, including Business Light, will get that far. So we'll be looking at a genuine, full-blown business PMR setup, which we can't really afford or even justify, I don't think. But let's running the net, Greg, and also thanks for all your work with RSGB and the Spectrum Forum. We can only hope that things come out the right way in the end. From G8DEY, over.
Just as we press the talk, I try and cough again. Golf Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC. Okay, Mike. I think their argument would be that repeater, if the license can't cover frequencies you're not licensed for. So if you're going to have a repeater that goes onto a PMR frequency, does that make it a gateway? And this is the road to hell and perdition we're going to go down. What I would remind people of is, because there have been a few comments that the sky is falling, talk through is doomed, we'll never be able to operate again, is just to ask what we did in the early days of RAYNET, in the first 20 years or so, when there was no ability for talk through, and member numbers were about the same as they are now, etc., etc. It's not pitching very good as an emergency organisation if one of our facilities isn't available to us, whatever it might be, power, water, or a particular brand of technology. So there's a bit of language. Mike, if you could go on the com list, I need something more positive back from trustees. I think I've just been asked a question that says when I give it the green light. It's not when I give it the green light, it's when the other trustees actually say so. So that'll be appreciated. Right, let's see how the viewing figures have crashed today. G7 and E8, G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, G7 and EH. Not much different than they were on the last round, Greg. 8 concurrent viewers at the moment, with a total of 12 views and 5 likes. Not a lot else to add from this end. Dave M7ABO has just messaged me to say, can you leave him out this round? He's still having issues with his hotspot, and he can't quite make it to WX direct, which I'm surprised at, because I'm sure I've done it from his house. And just a message in the chat from Steve M1CYT. He's got his hotspot connected to RAYNET-UK. I assume the RAYNET-UK server, but he can't hear anything at all. I did ask him if he'd got his radio set to the same TX frequency as his hotspot, and that wasn't meant as a stupid question. But he said, yeah, he can connect to other rooms, but he can't connect to that one. So that's in the chat this week. Back to you, G4 and RC, G7 and EH. Again, personal data charges again. G7 and EH, G4 and RC. Okay, so M7AVO, Julie dropped off. I have got a total spare hotspot here. I just don't want to commit the SD card with it, but I know it worked. So when I'm less toxic, I will drop that around with Dave and try and find that opportunity. Then he's got something totally different to play with. For M1CYT's question, I'm going to again give Guy plenty of heads up if he can check into the system and see what the status of CYT's connection. If he's onto the RAYNET-UK server, then we can have a go at it. If he's onto Brandmeister, then that's a different question, which hopefully Guy will still be able to have a response to. We'll see what we can do. Right, thanks Graham, thanks for streaming the net. Next to Phil, G4HUF, G4 and RC. This is G4HUF. The one thing that I can add to the conversation about what other things we supply is look at Northampton or Northamptonshire RAYNET. They actually do use DMR systems, issue them out, and they basically provide the engineering backup for their activities. So they don't provide any operators except perhaps a control operator, and the rest of it is purely engineered DMR system to provide what the user requires. And if I remember rightly, they are committed to doing one or two events that involve well, not so much fell running, but cross-country running and stuff like that on a formal basis. So it might be worth looking at what they're up to in that regard for what else can we provide in that regard.
Nothing else intelligent to add from this end, and you timed it perfectly. I was just in the middle of making a brew in the kitchen. And seeing as there's a cup of coffee being required for she who must be, I think I better shut up and get on with that. So 73s to everybody on the net. Pat's just said Happy New Year, and we'll catch you next time. G4 NRC, G4 HF.
I'm going to play I1 for a moment. G4HUF, G4NRC with a smile. It's not very often we get to hear the small voice inside your head, but Happy New Year perhaps with the clear in the background. And yeah, okay, go and do the tea and coffee making duties. Noted Northampton RAYNET and PMR systems. Interesting side observation is that there seems to be an attempt to cap talk-throughs at the same kind of powers you might find in the PMR world. So that other advantage we have of being able to throw extra welly at a problem has gone away in some worst incarnations of this. Right, I am mindful of time. I've got 4 minutes to one of my cut-off times. Golf Juliet 8 Papa Victor Lima. Peter, will you try to call in? I just wake up for Peter. JJ8 PVL, G4NRC.
Yes, good afternoon to everybody. Sorry I'm late joining you there. Yeah, I just thought I'd come in on the conversation there. What we have in Jersey, apart from our normal amateur repeaters, is we have about 3 or 4 which are commercial, and we run them under a business light license, which is a high license. And over the summer there, we did actually offer our radios out for events for both security and for marshalling. And some of our repeaters we've got in a mobile flight case with a trailer mast, and we can actually take it anywhere around in the island and set it up very, very quickly there. So maybe that's another option. Anyway, I'll pass it back to you. I can't remember the call sign now, sorry, from GJ8PVL, over. GJ8PVL, G4NRC. Yep, acknowledged, and I do see going through the Ofcom listings that many RAYNET groups have got a variety of PMR licenses. That did actually lead potentially to some inadvertent confusion, because the question seemed to arise at one point with, why did we need to do all this with talk-throughs? Because we've got PMR licensing, which kind of defeated the point of the groups that don't, and the different facilities we can bring without the restrictions of the PMR license. So, okay, thanks for that, Peter. You might get a last chip in, but we've got 3 stations to run. No, I haven't. Yes, I have 3 stations to run. So, Ian, Golf 3, Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4NRC, over. G4NRC, in the interest of getting you away, I won't hold it, so I'll just say thanks to you and Graham, you for running the net and Graham for broadcasting it. G4NRC, this is G3ZHX.
G3ZHX. Okay, sorry to be turning into a pumpkin, Ian, but others would say an hour is too long for a net anyway. Thanks for going on. Hopefully talk to you next week. Hopefully it'll be less exciting. Next, Colin, 2 Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, G4NRC, over.
F120 CMS. First comment for Mike, G8EY. You could also consider using the wonderful DMR network that we're using at the moment, or even Zello or Zello Work to get over some of the longer distances. The guy on the chat, I think he might be using the Fusion YSF bridge because he mentioned rooms, so it might be an issue with the YSF bridge. And just a last sort of interesting thing, we've had RLRF has cancelled a couple of sort of fairly major exercise and training events that were supposed to be happening in the first half of this year, basically because they're expecting issues with the change of process at the border controls with France, so affecting the Channel Tunnel and the Port of Dover and all the rest of it. And they're expecting huge queues on the motorways and all the rest of it. So they've cancelled those. It's also around the same time as the Olympic Games are on in Paris. But anyway, I won't hold you to any more of that. I'll let you go, Greg. G4NRC 2E0CMS. Selection 3.
G4NRC. So Steve M1CYT has managed to get through, as you say, the YSF DMR bridge, but with a massive amount of packet loss. Okay, thanks for the heads up about the border control issues. I used that the other way around on talk-throughs, highlighting how in Kent and up in Hull we had some quite advanced talk-through plans to try and cover all the required needs for those particular port areas. So things couldn't just fit on a single channel, as again others thought it was going to do. Okay, thanks, Colin. I'm sure Phil will pick up your other comments there. Where I'm going to head towards is passing it to Guy, probably going to pull the formal part of the net then, and then seeing if Guy can sort out the issues with Steve M1CYT, because Guy, we have had, now Dave, particularly M7AVO, has been trying the Fusion bridge, and it's been erratic again, but I'm not getting any error messages off the bridge. M0GUY, G4NRC.
G4NRC, M0GUY. Yes, apologies, I just realised the bridge was up but deaf. So I gave it a big kick, and I can see traffic is now passing through that. Yeah, Hunt and Peck, I discovered that Steve was not connected to the RAYNET server directly. He has a hotspot programmed or defined, but it has never actually registered into the DMR server. Similarly, his hotspot is not connected to Brandmeister either, so it seems to be just doing YSF. Does have a DMR ID, but his radio is YSF radio. Obviously, with that, you can use the PyStar 2 bridge. You could still connect and come direct through that and to Brandmeister and do YSF to DMR. That will work fine. Not sure why the YSF stuff keeps going out to lunch. I'll have to have a look and see if there's anything in there that's bottling it on long running, and maybe set up some tasks just to give it a kick every couple of weeks. Other than that, yeah, I think we're back on air now. Steve's reporting yes, he's hearing us. Apparently delay. Yeah, shouldn't be a delay to the audio for the YSF, but I do know there's a delay in the audio to YouTube, so don't try and listen to YouTube and RF at the same time, as you make your head hurt. Other than that, thanks for running the net, Greg, and I will let you escape back and enjoy your match from M0GUY.
0GUY, G4NRC returning. Okay, thanks Guy, thanks for giving it a kick. I know it's been on your radar for a while, the problematic nature of YSF going deaf. I'll have a think about it. What education we need to do for YSF users, whether it is use the bridge or actually just do the bridging locally at your own hotspot, it might be easier. Given the problems we've been having, but it does mean that the YSF users can't get together in their own room. So, with apologies to Michael Charlie Yankee Tango and Peter Golf Julius 8 Papa Victor Lima, I do need to leave home now. So that's slightly overrun. So I'll bring it to a formal end. Thanking everybody for taking time out of the schedule to participate this afternoon. Be careful given the impending cold weather. Have a good week, and until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time, I'll close the RAYNET-UK weekly activity period and return the talk group to being an open net rather than a directed net. 730, all, this is G4NRC now reverting to my normal call sign of call 0 Delta Uniform Bravo and closing down. 730, bye-bye.